You're listening to the Soju Sessions, episode 45 on the SojuTalk Nation podcast feed. I'm your host, Crispy, also known as Crispy Wonton, or simply just Anton. And coming up, Reach from the SojuTalk Nation, one of the OG Gochu Gang, Harold's homies, patrons on the server. And we really get into kind of the old folks side of K-pop. You know, a lot of a throwback. We talk about 2000s K-pop, where it all began for Reach. And he mentioned a number of artists that I can only recall by name. I honestly was drawing a blank as far as their music and music videos. I think just that period of time, aside from the struggle for finding media on the internet, the very early days of the internet, I can't really remember very much aside from Girls' Generation. So really cool that Reach was able to, open up this time capsule of artists that even myself, being a 90-year-old, can't recall. So for those listening, check out the artists that he does mention, because I think it's really cool to have a bit of history within K-pop and, kind of seeing where it all began back in the olden days, back in the early days of not just K-pop and exposure to Western audiences, but the internet, and how K-pop and the internet have both coincided as being part of the information age and where we are today. So shout out to Reach. We get into a lot of things, and also we talk about J Park and IU because I could not help myself. It had to be. All right, let's get into it. Coming up, my chat with Reach on the Soju Sessions. Joining Soju Sessions this week, another member of the Gochu Gang, one of the OGs. He's been around for a minute. He's always popping in and giving his top three every week, like clockwork. So I can always rely on him to kind of set the table there. The one and only Reach. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm excited. Reach. Hey, man.
Yes.
No, I think this is going to be the first time that a lot of listeners are going to, experience kind of you and your personality. And, I'm really happy to have you.
Me too. Thank you for the interest. I am not the most active, but I do go through every channel. I'm not necessarily, chatting as much, but I'm always there.
Your presence is definitely felt, and definitely your positive energy, and your contributions every week to the Soju chart are definitely well worth it and well received. So yeah, man,
it's the highlight of the Discord.
Right, excellent. All right, so we're gonna get into the origin story for you, sir, and kind of where it all began with K-pop. So how did you find K-pop, and what were the early days for you? Kind of being a fan at the beginning and then, kind of growing and changing as the genre went along over the years.
Okay, so I think I'm one of the older members in the Discord. And I've discovered, it's kind of unique. Usually, the first time I heard about anything Korean is actually around high school. It's through I forgot his name, but he was like an upperclassman, and he carries this folder, back in the day, and he had a picture of. He likes a bunch of like racing models, right? So he had a bunch of pictures in his folder, and then I was like, "Hey, who's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's it was a picture of Boa." Yeah. So, and at the time, all I listened to was rock, punk rock, that genre. That was my go-to genre at high school. And then this picture of Boa, and I thought she was just really pretty, so I'm like, I just searched it, right? You know, high school boys, what are you gonna do? And back then, searching wasn't that great. I was in high school. I think it was 2005. I think 2004. I'm not. I don't remember. It's in the 2000s. I know I graduated 2006. So, I forgot how I searched back then, but the only thing I was trying to find out, who is this Boa? Why is he? and and then I found the first song, the first K-pop song. Would you count Boa as K-pop?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Atlantis Princess song.
That is a throwback. That I recognize the title, but I cannot tell you anything about the song. I can't tell you anything. Yeah.
It was, it was very fresh. It was very new. I didn't understand the language, but I like her voice. I like the music. I like how it sounds. And from that point on, I looked her up even more. It was really hard to find music back then. I have to download it, and then downloading took hours if you're from back then.
Yeah, no, I echo everything that you felt back in the mid 2010s, 2000s.
Thousands, yes.
Yeah, I think the search engine I used was Yahoo. I think that was like a little before Google like really popped off. I think Google did exist, but definitely not known the way it is today. And then downloading music. Yeah, 100% feel that. It took 2 hours to download one song off of either Morpheus or Kazaa.
Kazaa, oh my god, that's my platform.
Yeah, and then it gave your computer a virus, and you'd have to reformat your computer every 2 weeks. But you had the music, but you had the songs for free. It was kind of amazing. It was the Wild West back then. We had no idea what we were doing.
It was.
But
I'm glad.
Go ahead.
I'm glad you can echo my sentiment.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I mean, I was around back then. I was looking for. That's how I searched up anime back in the day. So that was my my resource for finding different shows and things I wanted to watch. I can tell you the original Full Metal Alchemist was how I first got introduced to downloading things, either through Kazaa or torrents back in the day, the original BitTorrents.
Torrent and Kazaa, yes.
Yeah.
P2P.
Oh my gosh, you're bringing back so many memories. And then One Piece, the original One Piece, the first like 3 seasons or so. I try to rewatch some of those episodes today, and it definitely feels like it's 30 years old. I'll just say that much.
Yeah, even the resolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, depending on the site, I mean, it has been remastered a bit, but I think just the art style definitely is dated. But I think there's still nostalgia, right? Because it takes you back to a time, a simpler time, I think, in a lot of ways, of finding media, finding things you're interested in. Well, let me ask you a question about like the language barrier. So you had to bring up the not being able to understand music. What was that like for you to kind of experience music as just the sound and the quality of the sound and what appealed to you without having to, or without knowing the translation and the lyrics? Because I think today it's very easy for us to quickly Google search translated lyrics or even Romanized lyrics if we want to sing along. But back in the day, it was even hard to like find artists, much less the lyrics and the translation. What was that like for you during those initial, periods in discovering K-pop, not understanding the language, but being extremely interested in kind of the way it sounded?
Well, back then, I didn't really care what the meaning is, so I didn't really care what she's saying. I just really enjoy melody and how it sounds. And because I think I was in band, so I play instruments, so I enjoy, I listen to the background music, and that's as important as the lyrics to me. So if I enjoy something, which in this case, Atlantis Princess was great. I didn't really care what was said. Not that I didn't care, is that it doesn't really. I didn't want to know what she was trying to say through song. I just enjoy the song for the honestly that that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I think you having a background in music, it makes a lot of sense that regardless of how the music is sung, whatever language it's sung in, you understand the quality of how it's produced and kind of the composition. Things that I've tried to learn over the years. Thank you, Warren, for always talking about it on the main show. But I think because you have that background, it does resonate a little bit differently for you. And I think that's a cool way to kind of have that cultural exchange through music, simply because it sounded nice. And not really seeing that there is a language separation, right?
Yeah.
So how did that change for you? I mean, just over the years, searching things up, having more access, Google existing finally. How did you grow as a person as K-pop was becoming more popular and kind of being a part of your life?
Well, interesting enough, K-pop wasn't that big in my life per se. It's only Boa, right? So finished high school and then about high school through mid college, I still listen to rock and Boa, right? And then in college, I got my first job, and my coworker was Korean, and this person is really one that opened the door for me, right? She recommended me watching Korean movies, Korean dramas, because she likes that stuff, right? So she recommended me. Oh no, I forgot the title, but it was like, oh yeah, it's My Sassy Girl, very
Yes,
classic movie.
a classic, 100%. I think
Yes, yes.
everyone
So
knows that movie, that title, just
yes,
inherently in their spirit, right?
that's a remake, but it's the original, and that really kind of opened the flood doors. I'm like, wow, there's this whole world, whole country with all this, like just great things. I guess waiting for me to discover, right? And that was like the turning point when I started listening less to American music and get into more Korean pop. I started finding out, Kara, right? 소녀시대, and I think also I remember there was like this crazy news of some company, if you never heard of them, called SM, trying to produce a 13-member boy group, which is Super Junior, which was crazy back then, right? We were like, what, 13 member? Thought, and over here we only have like NSYNC. Uh-oh, I'm not gonna even guess because I don't know.
They
Five
had
members?
four members, five members.
We're gonna get killed.
It's fine. Justin Timberlake is the only one that still performs and
Ooh.
acts.
Okay, Chris, he said that, not me. Okay, guys.
I mean, they're all great people. They've all done many things in entertainment over the
Yes,
years.
yes.
But Justin Timberlake is still in the consciousness of a lot of people, and he's still doing great movies.
Yes.
But yeah, I totally feel that, right? When you first experienced like that large number for a group, I think for me it was Sonishide when it was like 9 people, nine
members.
girls in a group, and it's like, oh, what is this? What's happening? And trying to pinpoint and like track every single one of them. And then learning about them slowly, it's like, okay, I'm invested in each one differently. The revolving door of who is your favorite, right? So I can only imagine when Super Junior was introduced to you and you're like, what is this? Why are there so many boys on the screen? It could be overwhelming, but exciting. I imagine very exciting.
It was odd. 13 members. It's really odd back then. But that's so. And everyone really bought to it, and they blew up. And thanks to them, get to find K-pop.
Yeah.
And the first MV I ever downloaded, I remember it took a couple days. It was G. Yeah.
Wow, sir. I think we have the same starting point in a lot of ways. So I think you probably downloaded back in like what 2010. I think that's
when that song came out, like 2005. I don't know.
Yeah,
let me look it up.
In the early days of the internet, because I remember YouTube starting. I think it was 2010, 2011, and that was like one of the first music videos I had like watched, and I was like, what is happening? I've told the story before, but that was like my first introduction to K-pop, coinciding with using YouTube just far more frequently as a medium, right? Because I think for me at that time, I was still downloading things. I no longer download things illegally. So if anyone's listening, I am very much, I pay for my media. I watch the YouTube and I pay for my Disney Plus. Yeah, so that's all me. But yeah, back in the day when you kind of had to download things because that was the only way to find media. So things like Girls' Generation and just music videos in general. But I think G was the first music video or maybe not first, but like it was one of the music videos I distinctly remember being incredibly helped by the fact that it was through YouTube, right? It was being shared around through my friends group. We were all talking about it. We can post it on Facebook. That was kind of wild. And I know I just have very fond memories of kind of the initial days of the internet kind of shifting and transforming in that sense. You mentioned your friend that you bonded with. You formed this friendship. How has that been, kind of building relationships over your life through K-pop? Go ahead.
Which friend are you talking about?
Your coworker. Your coworker.
Oh yeah. Oh well, it's funny because I only see her when I'm working, right? But in that, like, I was part time. I think I'm working for like 4 to 5 hours. That, and while I'm working like a Chinese takeout inside the campus, right? So it's kind of chill. It's not as busy as it is if it was a real location outside the campus. And we would talk. Well, she would tell me a lot of much Korean stuff, like Sassy Girl, for example, as I mentioned. And then she also teach me the language. Right? So this is the first time I learned my first course. It's Bian. Sorry. First word I ever learned. And then 안녕하세요, of course. And that from that point, I made the effort trying to understand the lyrics at this, right? And now I can understand it. Watch Korean media without subtitles. It's all good.
Really? Reach, this
Yes.
is amazing. How long did it take you to? I guess when did you realize that you were you picked up the language just at the point where you could understand it without subtitles? Like how many years, I guess, into your K-pop / Korean entertainment journey did you realize, like, oh, I got this?
Have you heard? It was actually through a variety show. Have you heard of a variety show called Invincible Youth?
I know that title. I just honestly can't name it because all the variety. It's an older variety show, right? It's much older.
It's very old, yes. Let me tell you the name of the cast. It's Yuri and Honey from Wednesday.
Yes. Okay.
And then there's Kara from Kara. There's a secret member. I forgot her name. Sana, I think. And Teu from God. So the premise of the show is like family outings, if you remember what show that is. But it's with idols, and they go to this farm, and they just pretty much do what family outing does. And back then, subtitles is non-existent. So, but the show doesn't stop for subtitles. So I kept watching it. Episode 1, episode 2. I don't understand a bit. And concurrently learning Korean from my friend, right? I would ask her, "Hey, what does this mean? What does it mean?" Just words. I just know words. So as I watched the show, episode 10 and go and on, I would pick up. Oh, that means this. But I don't really know what they were talking about, but I know it's about this, right? And then thanks to that show, I just keep on watching, keep on acting. At one point, I'm okay, all right, and then here we are.
That is incredible. It gives me faith that I can eventually one day pick it up if I just watch everything raw with no subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of amazing that you have a coworker who essentially like was your guide, your shepherd to language, right? No, I think I think that just the timing, the confluence of events, and the fact that we watched Experience Media at a certain point where, yeah, there were no subtitle groups on the internet,
Yes.
like there are today,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We definitely had to go through it. No, I think for me, I think because of kind of the barrier of that, I slowed down in the early 2010s. I think I had like a year or two where I was super into it, and then I was like, "Oh, this is really hard to understand. There's no subtitles." Unlike anime, like Japanese media, I think that was a little bit more
Yeah.
accessible.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, with like K-pop, it's like I really want to like this. I can only consume so much. I think for you, you stuck with it, and I think you're all the better for it because now you are a K-pop, a Korean language teacher. You can be a Korean language teacher with Nina. She is Nina Sensidim. Both of you will have that title for forever, and yeah, that is it. We've called it. So I will.
I am far from teacher.
No, you are far ahead of me and many other people who are trying to learn it. So I definitely admire just your ability to pick it up, which is amazing. And it's a cool thing that K-pop and Korean entertainment has done that, right? Where you've connected with another human being in a way where it's enriched your life. I mean, I would say that you're close to bilingual. I mean, maybe you're not like speaking it, but I think understanding is like the first part of it, right? Kind of transferring that over into finding communities online. How did you navigate the internet during the 2000s and 2010s? And then how did you find SojuTalk? And how did you find this space to kind of continue on in your K-pop fandom?
2010 and internet. I didn't consume a lot of K-pop over the internet. I don't remember because it wasn't accessible enough there wasn't videos or K-pop video today is curated to be out on YouTube, right? But back then there was no such thing. I think I use internet mostly just to play games and search your papers, whatever. But I think I don't know when YouTube was really produced 101. Is that when YouTube K-pop get into the YouTube game? I'm not sure.
That does sound like it aligns. My memory is very hazy of 2017, 18 of YouTube and K-pop. All I know is there was a maybe like 3 or 4 year period after Gangnam Style that there was just a lot of K-pop music videos, but I don't remember the time when like broadcast companies would actually then put content specifically onto YouTube. But that does align though, because I think at that point it was becoming far more international, and the involvement of the audience was starting to open up through Produce 101.
Yeah, back then I don't think YouTube was a big thing in Korea. That's why they didn't really use the platform. I do remember watching Big Bang. A bunch of the big three. Well, I think mostly YG stuff over the YouTube, like 21. But other than that, YouTube wasn't the platform to go for K-pop, for me at least back then. I just searched Yahoo, or I think we were using Google back then at that time, and I would just go to the first link, Google first link, whatever site pops up, that's where I go.
Yeah. No, I think that's how a lot of people like go through Google, right? I think I don't say we, but I think it's very easy to search something and then just go to the very top. Even just go to the first page of links, right? I think it's just something that carried over. How did you find SojuTalk? How did you find the podcast and kind of the Discord?
Okay, so first, that's how I found out about podcasts in general, right? I have a desk job, and even more so, it's a desk job where no one bothers me, right? I just go in 9 to 5, go through my tasks and go home. Do this. So I started bringing my my earphones and then listening to music. And then as time goes on, like, well, what's this thing called podcasting? And then I was looking up Joe Rogan, the very first podcast I've heard. And then, I wonder if there's anything about it, right? So I look at K-pop, and there wasn't many, to be honest. There was these two guys that talked K-pop. That was the only, I think, K-pop podcast that was available at the time. And then, as time goes on, there's a couple more popping up here and there, and then SojuTalk was one of them. So I listened to them like, wow, these guys no filter, you know, they because the podcast back then they're talking about serious stuff in a serious tone, and then Doug, Warren, they were the louder, bolder. Didn't kind of don't hold back what they were talking about. They were pretty honest. Wow, this is interesting. So I started listening to them, and that's how I discovered SojuTalk. Yeah,
Yeah, they definitely have a rapport about between each other, right? And just how they think about music and how they analyze kind of the big picture, but also trying to experience the moment and finding that balance. I think that balance is very difficult, and it all stems from the relationship that they have with each other. I think Doug, Warren, and Anita definitely bring different things to the table. This week in particular, I think they did a nice job balancing each other in a lot of ways. With the J Park and IU song specifically. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that was a really good example of them just like, oh yeah, they have a little bit of a different perspective on how the song was executed, and kind of still landing in the same place, but at least giving us kind of a wider scope of what the song did represent to them.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but SojuTalk was originally 4 members, I believe.
I went back to some of the OG episode 1 and 2. There were 4 little talking bubbles. It was just that. I think they had their like laptop microphones.
Yeah, I was looking through your guidelines what we're gonna talk about, and I was like, I wonder what's the first SojuTalk episode I was looking. I mean, I listened to. It was I forget what it was, but it was about plastic surgery. Right, because in the beginning they were talking less about K-pop, more about, I guess, the K-pop culture. They're talking about training days, about what it takes to become one, and then all the ins and outs of it. And I was like, oh my god, I forgot they had a 4th member. Wow.
Yeah, back in the day, they had very specific topics, right? They didn't review music as the focal point. They had things that they wanted to discuss as a kind of an open forum between the 4 of them.
Yes.
Yeah, those were really interesting back in the day. With the format change, perhaps they bring some of that back. I think that'll be kind of interesting. But I think sticking to K-pop right now is kind of their bread and butter, and it works really well, right? So with kind of the relationships that they have and how that's transferred over to online and the Discord. How has your time been on the SojuTalk K-pop podcast Discord? I mean, we are definitely contributors every week with the Gochu Gang vote. But what's it been like, kind of being a patron, right? And kind of scoping out each channel, here and there, popping in when you can.
Well, compared to the first time I joined this, that's a lot less channels. I think I remember we celebrated like hitting 50 or 100. I forgot what it was. Back then it was back then Doug and Warren is a lot more. The presence was in the Discord. It's like their chat room, but as it becomes bigger, naturally, that would let the members do most of the activities. And I usually, because I listen to girl groups a lot, so I go to Queens a lot. I go to K-pop channel. the reactions, all the news media. I check all those, and the SojuTalk, the SojuTalk channel, the Gochugang, Minikan, and yeah, and then True FM was fun. That's the first time I found out what Last FM is. I downloaded it like 2 years now. I've been using it. It's fun counting. For some reason, I don't know why it's fun, but it does. And yeah, I enjoy the banter when we cover Growth Planet or Island or the Produce or the Chinese Fuse with You shows. I love this Discord. What else to say?
I love your approach to everything, where you are kind of omnipresent. You kind of float between all the different channels. Like you said, you're not super active. I can't pinpoint like a time where you were like as crazy as Bagel and I over Itzy, or as insane as Chu can get. The Chu Last FM channel is a monster on its own. I love everyone there. Shout out to Delmonic, Biff Miller, Nina, Zondi, OP, Koala, Q. Who else am I missing? I apologize if I missed anybody. Ara is there occasionally. Yeah, we are a wild bunch over there. I appreciate that you do stop by. Please don't be afraid of us. But then for me as well, I'm in Queens a lot, and the threads have been really helpful to kind of focus in on certain groups. Yeah. I personally love them. I can understand the hesitation to kind of incorporate them early on, just because you do still want things to flow in specific channels. But I think for me, I'm the kind of person that likes to update on specific groups that I like, and kind of managing and navigating. Did someone just post something? Oh, I don't want to drown out their post with my flood of photos. Now with the threads, I'm very much relieved that I can wake up in the middle. I can wake up at my time, post something that Stacy posted at 1 a.m. in California, and be like, okay, good. Like I could post all their photos. So that, that's been a nice little quality of life adjustment on the server. So thanks to Doug Warren and Anita for organizing things and letting it be an ecosystem on its own. I think that's what's really cool about it, right? It's very self-sustaining, and I think we've all done a nice job to kind of make it our home. You mentioned the banter, kind of the talk and the music talk. So we've got a couple new songs this week. I'd like to go over this week in SojuTalk Music with you. We do have 3 songs, but I do want to focus on specifically one song. And I think that's what we're just going to get on to today. We've got Jay Park featuring IU with GANADARA. This is a lovely song. Reach, what are your thoughts and feelings about this collaboration, this song, this music video, and how does it make you feel? What are the emotions that it pulled out of you?
This reminds me of what J Park does in the beginning. Like Joa, that song. That one. It reminds me of that kind of vibe, and for some I listen to it, I repeat the whole day. So I listened to for 8 hours, just whatever. And I love this song. Great choice of featuring artist. What more can I say? It's a good song.
Yeah. So what is your approach when you experience a song for the first time? Because I know Warren does like to mention he listens to the song several times through first and then goes into the music video. Are you a more visual learner, or do you like to get the auditory experience first before you transition over into like the music video and that presentation?
Well, I'm not really a music video watcher, so you can say I listen to music more than watching the MV. I do watch the MV, but I rarely go rewatch the MV. Maybe once in a while. Partly because I listen to music mostly at work and when I'm driving. At home, I like to watch like non-K-pop, Korean content, but not watching music videos. So it's like the variety shows here and there, but more idol-centric shows like Weekly Idol or MMTG or Tenkang dance. You know what that is, right? Um, um, I mean, that's how I consume hip hop and Korean content, basically.
Yeah. Let's get into the song a little bit then, because I think for me it does hit the chill R&B, chill hip hop vibe that I particularly love. I think I have a reputation of not listening to boy groups, soloists, but if they come out with a song that's in R&B slash like light hip hop, I'm all for it. So I think I mentioned this in last week's episode. Kai's album is like one of my favorite albums in most recent memory, oddly enough. But then Jay Park with this song, it very much strikes that chord of being extremely chill, but has the R&B vibe. I think Dean was the comparison.
Yes, that's a good one.
Right. But what are your thoughts kind of on the way that the song played out as far as the meaning behind it? So I hope this is correct. I looked it up on the internet. Reddit told me GANADARA are the first 4 letters in the Korean alphabet. It's kind of what it represents, right? So for me, my interpretation of it is that it's about elementary love, kind of the ABCDs of love, right? Kind of the how you introduce yourself, what you want to be to someone, what you want to teach each other as far as love and relationships, but then also paired with the visual of IU standing up Jay Park, or at least seemingly to stand him up, where he sits on his couch, he cries, he's about to delete her phone number, only to be told she's here in studio. How do you feel like all of that played out, kind of in a playful way, between the lyrics and the composition with the story that was playing out in the music video?
Whoa, crispy. I don't really ever dissect music that way. I mostly just listen and enjoy. But if I have to try, I think you got it on the spot. Anadara Mabasa, which is like the continuation. The ABCD. If you just look at the chorus, he was talking about take my hand. Let's do this from the beginning, sort of a vibe. And he got it. I don't know what more to say. I don't analyze music as much.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just curious to get like your perspective on like the lyrics, because you understand it far more naturally than I do. Jay Park is Korean American. Korean is not was not his primary language, I believe, growing up. Do you feel like he conveyed that message clear enough for someone who can understand both Korean and English?
Yeah, you see, yes. I mean, I tend to just enjoy the music. I don't know what to say. I mean, I guess he does convey it. Help me out here.
Yeah, no worries, man. I think he does. I think it pairs really well with kind of what they were talking about on the show, where it's light, it's playful. There's a hint of truth to kind of what happened, where it probably is very expensive to have IU on set for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, right? And also maybe she's just really busy, and that's all they can get her for. Because I think the way the music video played out, that when she finally arrived, she did what she could. She looked beautiful. She was just swaying. She didn't really have too much to do. She was kind of mouthing the lyrics. You can tell that they're going to, layer the lyrics on top of it. But I think there's a natural comedy to it all, which it just makes it far more whimsical and relatable. So yeah,
it's very like classic J or the early works. He likes playful love R&B song, right? And I think this is, coming back from retirement, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Gotta start light and fun, and guess get IU.
Yeah, IU. What a big get, right?
Done.
And then kind of a quick commentary on like IU. I think her vocals definitely pair really well with this style of music. I personally would love it if she just did not a complete shift, but perhaps like a mini album of like this style of R&B. Different variations of it, of course. But if she did an R&B album, I think someone would have to speak at my eulogy. Reach, would you love to do that? You could be one of the many speakers, of course, because I would definitely just be dead.
So you must have loved when IU did her song with GD, I think.
Yes, off palette.
20 palette, yes.
Off of palette, yes. I go back to that song. I go back to that entire album all the time. There's just an emotion to that song where you kind of feel that they have a sincere, deep relationship and friendship. Whatever that is, I don't know if it still exists. I don't know if they're still as close as what they seem to have been back in 2016, 2017, I believe, around that time.
Definitely just business, I think.
Yeah. Well, just business, but at the same time, I think there's a natural friendship, right? Just artistically is kind of what I'm alluding to. I think there was a lot of rumors that they could have been dating, but I do think that just like J Park and IU have a friendship, GD and IU have a friendship, right? So much of
any collab.
Yeah.
Any collab's going to go into, are they dating? Right.
Right. I mean, I think that was like the big thing for like years. It's like, are they dating? Are they dating? It's like, well, maybe, but ultimately it's fine. Hopefully. But what a power couple. I did make a playlist this week of like chill hop music. So I put GANADARA on the playlist, followed by Soulmate featuring Zico. Zico featuring IU, Soulmate. Shout out to Warren for mentioning that. And then I put IU's song Troll from Lilac featuring Dean. So those three songs kind of back to back to back creates this amazingly wonderful like R&B experience with IU kind of at the centerpiece. Can I get that album? Reach, can you help me out? Can you manifest this with me, please? Someone help. It's
let me write a letter.
Please do. You know better Korean than I do. You can do it. I believe in you. But yeah, just with this power couple, they're not a couple. This power collaboration, I think it's a nice kind of palate refresher from the typical K-pop, because I love K-pop. I consume it all the time. But for me, like I do need something, kind of chill, something closer to what I've been listening to my entire life. I think for the most part, I've been listening to R&B and hip hop music. It wasn't until, again, 2010s that I did start listening to K-pop. So it's a nice kind of callback and reminder. And also J Park and I, we're, I guess, similar in the sense of both Asian American, but, coming from like the West Coast, there is kind of that similarity as well. Shout out to J Park, and whatever you think of him as a person, you just kind of separate that, because he's not a bad guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he made mistakes, and it's fine.
Where'd that come from?
I think it's so Warren had posted on the Patreon. What do you think about J Park? Like, what are your thoughts on J Park? And there was a bit of a discussion on kind of his history, the comments he's made in the past, kind of like boneheaded comments, but you can also understand.
You're talking about when he, I guess, wasn't get kicked out per se. He was forced kicked out of JYP and 2AM because of this one comment he made.
Yeah.
Which is a long ago.
It was a long time ago. He was very young. I think he was still like, I don't think he was 25 yet. He was very young. And I think that's...
Yeah, he was... Go ahead.
I think it's just maturation, right? You were going to say?
Yeah, I think he's still, I guess, an LA guy in heart when he was going to Korea to be 2AM. And Korea back then was a lot more conservative than today, I believe so. And whatever he said really just ticked the public. And, and he didn't understand that. And, paid the price and came back 10 times as strong.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how it's how you show remorse, and then what you do afterwards, right? I don't think anyone is defined by a mistake. I don't think anyone is inherently bad by something small that they did when they were younger. It's just incredibly magnified when you're in the public eye and an entertainer, right? So,
did he ever reunite with his 2AM not 2 a.m., 2 p.m. Members? No, right?
I don't think so. Yeah,
So
not that I
I would
know.
love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be great, right? Just
Yeah.
bring back some nostalgia. All right, that was a nice little J Park IU detour. I appreciate you hanging in there with me, Reach. All right,
No.
We're gonna start to wrap things up with some closing thoughts. Spring is here. I think it's here. I think in California for you and I, we've been in spring for like 4 months already. But
Yes.
spring is a time for new beginnings. It's a time for kind of the change in weather and people going outside. What are you looking forward to for the latter half of the year? As the world opens up, as things become warmer, not just in California but everywhere else. What are you hopeful for the rest of the year?
Oh, the rest of the year. I like to go day by day. I'm not a far planner, so mask mandate is no longer a thing here. I've seen a lot of people walking around without masks, and I guess it feels weird walking without a mask now. I feel like I'm missing something. Um, K-pop wise, there's several debut and comeback I'm looking forward to. Like Purple Kiss. Uh, there's this new group, ILY1 with Ririka, which is a Girl Planet 999 contestant in there. I've watched their, I guess, pre-debut content. Hopeful to see how they sound. And not getting sick. Cross my fingers.
Yes, I hope you stay healthy and well too. Okay, Purplicus, Dalmonic, I think will help you with that. He's been posting nonstop. Thank you, Dalmonic, in the Purplicus thread. Ririka, I'm very behind with news. I only hear about things when people talk about certain idols or I get pinged in something. Well, I don't follow it very well, but I did watch.
Can't follow everything.
I was a very big fan of all the things that were happening. Final group notwithstanding. But Ririka, she stood out. She was very, very bubbly, very happy. I had no idea that she was going to debut. So do you know when that group will happen?
Not sure. No teasers yet, just behind stuff, like training and their they do have a teaser come out. Love in Bloom. That's what it's called.
Great title for spring. Love it.
I guess it's spring comeback.
Yeah. I think the other member that I get tagged in a lot, thank you, Joe Cab, is Ruan. I liked her a lot on the show. I was not like a super big stan of Ruan, but because I've gotten tagged so much over the past 4 months, I really like her now. I want to see her debut. I want to see what she's about. Urena, I think, is debuting solo from.
Yes, she had the teaser out.
Yeah, no, that's super crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know the details of that? I'm asking you on the spot because I don't know. Do you know if she's
Urena?
Yeah, if that's going to be a Korean debut or a Japanese debut?
I think it's Japanese.
Okay.
Pretty sure it's Japanese.
Makes sense.
And about ILY1. They were supposed to debut March 15th, but because mid-April.
Okay.
So 1 month.
Yeah. It could also be a shift in debut because right now it's going to be really packed. I mean, we just went through the first half of the month. It feels a little slower, but we just had Solar today.
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
I did not catch up with the 2 days and yesterday's drops, so I got to go back to do that.
Yeah, no worries, man. And then there's
and Queendom 2.
There's Queendom 2 is happening. And then we got Red Velvet, Stray Kids, and Oh My Girl to round out the month. So,
oh my god, that's a busy month.
Oh man. So those are my things that I'm looking forward to because Red Velvet, I want this, whatever this is, whatever horror, dark concept, craziness, give me all of it. And then Oh My Girl, it's just they have my heart so much.
Didn't they just drop something from Japan?
I think they're doing two things: doing a Japanese release and a Korean release. Yeah, I think they're different as
twice.
well. Yeah, twice. Just keep rolling. Just keep going, man. Oh man. Reach. Amazing conversation, sir. I appreciate you coming on. Do you have any closing thoughts? Do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to give the audience in the Soju Talk Nation?
Oh man, I'm not that old, okay? Not that wise yet, but keep watching your favorite Korean show and try to watch it without sub, and I promise you, you will catch language. I did. I watch a lot. Repetition. I believe in repetition.
Beautiful.
But it's been great. Thank you for inviting me. I hope I did fine. And hope someone, I don't know. Thank you.
No worries, man. You did excellent. You were well thought out. I learned a lot about you. I learned a lot about just like how you operate. I think it's very eye opening and helpful for just a lot of people to connect a username to a voice and a personal story. And I do feel like that your personal story is incredibly unique, but also relatable to so many people who've gone through perhaps something very similar. So I do appreciate that you're so willing and open to share, because it honestly enriches my life to hear things like this. And you are definitely part of it now. So thank you, sir, for doing that.
Thank you for providing the platform.
Of course, man. All right, let's sign out. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Soju sessions on the SojuTalk Nation podcast feed. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk K-pop podcast Discord. For Reach, this is Crispy, and this has been the Soju Sessions.